How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, Lieutenant Dan here from Unintentional Grounding, live from Orlando, Florida. I'm so excited to be here with you, the Grounders, here today to talk about the Atlanta Falcons' upcoming game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow. And for all of you Falcons fans out there, thank you so much for supporting the stream and just keeping this thing afloat, man. It's exciting to be able to play games with you guys, be able to talk Atlanta Falcons football with you guys, as well as just really just come in here and just hit you up with all the latest news. Absolutely the most fun that I have on this channel. So as everybody starts to kind of slowly but surely fall in, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat who is going absolutely bonkers. Chat, how's it going? Good to see everybody in the chat. Good to see For Real in the building. Jack, Archangel, good to see you, my man. Rise up, stay grounded. Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Andrew, it's good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. I was just trying to turn the music down. I wasn't trying to turn the music off. So I would appreciate if you turned that back on. Thank you. Thank you, Streamlabs. Freddie, why do I pay you, man? Why do I have to do all the work myself? Why do you just moderate over there on the computer? I don't understand, man. Like, I hired you to do business here with me. And then this is I have to do this all on my own. Freddie. Come on, man. Just I could literally have you do the setup. We tried this before. I have confidence in you. You could do this. Okay, fine. I understand. You're a shy man. You're a shy man. You don't want to know anybody that's in the chat. You don't really. You just want to ban people and be anonymous. Whatever, man. You do you, Freddie. You do you. Okay. For those of you that are on the Twitch chat, thank you so much for following us there and supporting us there. Twitch.tv/unintentionalgrounding. And then for all of you guys and gals on the YouTube who are the original Grounders, the piece de la resistance. I totally murdered that, but the piece de la you're good guys and gals. I like you. I like you. Original Grounders, I like you. Piece de resistance. There it is. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Now that that's completely destroyed. I completely fumbled that. Like the Falcons did in week 1. Let's talk about some Falcons, man, and let's talk about the upcoming draft and talk about a little bit what's happening here right at this very moment, and then I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the channel going forward and kind of give you guys a full breakdown of what we're trying to do going forward on this platform as well as on the Twitch channel. So, Atlanta Falcons lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we covered this beforehand. We talked about it a little bit here and there, but I kind of wanted to just get into the main meat of it all, the meat and potatoes of what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons as a whole, and kind of just drop my 2 cents in here and just go for broke, you know, because unlike the Aaron Freemans of the world that are going to give it to you nice and presented in a nice little box. Unlike the Falcoholic guys who are, going to cover a wide range and variety of topics and compartmentalize them into this and that into neat, convenient little videos, I'm just going to smack you right across the face and give you exactly the truth of the matter. And sometimes it hurts, and sometimes people don't subscribe, and sometimes people do because they're like, that right there, I understand that. I deal with that. That is it. For real. Oh my God, you're killing me. Just tell me. Is there actually... What are you talking about? Somebody there? What, over on the side over here? Yeah, but he just doesn't want to get on the screen. This is Freddie, my editor, who's supposed to be doing this, but it's just a mod in my chat. So that's why. That's why. That's why I'm always upset. Because it's supposed to be your job, not mine. Okay. Anyway. So this Falcons roster, man, and how it's kind of built and how it's kind of put together. And condolences to the Giants, who are a better team than they actually are. But this Falcons roster, man, I want to say a little bit about it and then kind of like navigate the problems. I want to say it like this. The Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan's not the problem, but issues stem from Matt Ryan. So in the overall picture of it all, in the grand scheme, everybody I think kind of like centers themselves on Matt Ryan is the reason why we're going to win and is the reason why we're failing. And I don't think that is necessarily fair, just, or truthful to the matter that at hand, which is this team as a whole is broken. I mean, it's like getting it's like getting a cup, right? It's like getting a cup. And you're drinking out of the cup. And you keep spilling water everywhere. And you're like, oh my God, this cup, like every time I drink from it, water spills out of the side of my mouth. And it's just the way that the cup lid is kind of just put together. It's just the kind of way that the cup is put together, and the water keeps spilling out of my mouth. It's not the cup's fault for holding the water, letting you sip the water out of it, keeping it cool. It's your fault for not opening up your mouth wide enough to drink the water. If you have no other problem with any other cup, and you just have a problem with this cup, it's user error, it's you. And when I look at this Falcons team, the fan base wants to blame the cup for the problem. They want to blame the unit that holds the water in there. But when they look inside the cup, there's no water in there, and they're acting like it's spilling out the side of their mouths. The team as a whole is broken. There's no water inside. And you had problems with the cup in the first place? Jeez, man. Has nothing to do with the cup. Has everything to do with the body of water that's not even in the cup. There's nothing in the cup. There's no roster. There's no depth to this roster. It's just not there. Everybody wants to talk about, oh, Julio Jones is keeping this team together. Bro, we can win with what we have, but if this offensive line is not good enough, it can't block for Ryan. Ryan's literally letting 5 guys, burgers, and fries, throw him on the ground and leave him like a dead body chalk drawing. It looks like one of those sidewalk chalk drawings of somebody that got shot. Matt Ryan getting picked up and slammed on the ground by a 300-pound dude is not conducive to winning. And this is after years and years of roster abuse, is what I would like to call it. Is like when you're putting a store together and you have a bunch of people that you need to run the registers and stock the shelves, and turn on the lights and make sure you have bathroom supplies, and you have people to do all those jobs, right? But what if every single one of those jobs was controlled by a 12-year-old boy? Is the 12-year-old boy going to sign the documents to be able to get the Cintas toilet paper to put into your bathroom? No. He's going to go, I don't even know how to put toilet paper in the bathroom. I would hope that he would know, but God forbid this day and age that we live in. It's like a 12-year-old little boy or girl who's learning about the world, who's not matured yet, not to that point yet. They have so much future ahead of them. And then you tell them, I need you to order 500 soft-shell crabs, sign the documentation, sign a check, give that to the person, and then I want you to clean all those crabs and get them ready for service. That's exactly what this Falcons offensive line is. It's just a bunch of youngsters and guys who are out of place. They don't know what they're doing. They have no continuity. They don't know how to work together yet. And you had 3 preseason games to get it done. To get this unit to know more about each other. Not just practice. We're not talking practice, man. We're not talking about practice. We're talking about real games. Real games. We're talking about real games, real success. And unfortunately, Arthur Smith and this new regime, they have inherited a bad roster, just like kind of Dan Quinn inherited a bad roster in 2015 from the 2014 Mike Smith era, which most of you will remember. But look currently at what we have going on in Atlanta right now, and you have another bad roster inherited by a brand new coach who doesn't know what's going on and has to only work with what he's got because he only has a limited amount of money and limited amount of roster space to add people onto it and actually make it work. It's just like a bad set of workers who they have talent if they can be groomed, but you don't have time to groom them because you're in the middle of rush hour. And so then, and this is the best part for all the people on the YouTube who have been here since day one. Y'all know as much as I do that shiny nickels don't change the outcome when the meat and potatoes is strewn all over the place and it's a bunch of bad cuts and bad potatoes with a bunch of eyeballs on it. Look at all the shiny nickels Matt Ryan has. Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage. He's got Mike Davis. He's now got Kyle Pitts. It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't do anything for you when you don't have guys to block for you. That's just the point. I mean, so you win against the Eagles defensive line. They beat the absolute crud out of you, and then you turn around and you lose again. You lose again. Most likely going to lose again against Tampa. And now you will be the worst team in the NFL. Think about that for a second. The Falcons are about to lose a second game, most likely, and are going to be the worst team in the NFL. If that happens on Sunday, start getting ready for a number 1 quarterback drafted in 2022. Absolutely, unequivocally, what will happen. If the Falcons lose to Tampa, there's not many games that they're going to be winning from going forward, from now on. So for those of you that have been with this channel for a very long time, you know, I have not been a supporter of this whole idea that shiny nickels make things work. What is a shiny nickel? It's just a rando player with great athletic talent from the wide receiver position or the running back position or the tight end position or fullback or one of these brand name players. Look, it's not changed anything in Atlanta. Look, it's not changed anything. Nothing's changed. If they don't beat the reigning champs, they can't beat many other teams. If they don't play competitive football, not win. I'm not looking for a win against Tampa, who's going to dominate us. I'm looking for competitive football. And if we're not a competitive team against Tampa, if we don't put points on the board against Tampa, and I mean touchdowns, I don't mean field goals, then this team has little to no chance against every other team in the NFL on their schedule. There's really not a lot that they can do because it doesn't get easier from here. Cowboys line yet to play. San Francisco, I believe we also have to play them. It's just, it's something else. It's something else, man. It really is. Why did you look like you were reading something? I'm going, so whenever I look this way, I'm always looking at chat. I'm always looking at the chat. They're always on my right-hand side, but chat's looking at it, and it would be over here for me. So I always look over at chat and just take a look and see what people are talking about while I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Oh. Yeah. Rebuild year. Rebuild. Absolutely. It really is. I'll say this. If Ryan can't throw the ball because the offensive line can't pass block for him, so it would take Ryan completely out of the equation regardless of whether or not he's had a good history with them. Because right now, Tampa has one of the better defensive lines in the league. And yes, their last game against the Cowboys was back and forth, but that's because the Cowboys are good. Even with Dan Quinn running their defense, the Cowboys are good. They're actually good. If they can play a little more defense, they could have actually beaten Tampa, surprised them. But this team, this Tampa team, against Atlanta, this Atlanta team, doesn't matter what happened in the past. It only matters what happened right at this very moment. And if this offensive line can't pass block for Matt Ryan, then it doesn't matter. It's done. It's over. It's cooked. So the number one issue right now for a team that A, is cap-strapped, and B, doesn't have the talent is offensive line at left guard. And we're going to see Jalen Mayfield play at left guard again. McGarry play at right tackle again. And Hennessy, Lindstrom, and Jake Matthews at their original positions. And Alex, after I rewatched McGarry, I'm going to tell you right now, Matt Gano was supposed to be the guy at left guard, and Mayfield was supposed to challenge McGarry at right tackle. And because of Gano getting injured, that threw Mayfield from developing as a right tackle and challenging McGarry at right tackle to swinging all the way over to the left-hand side of the line in the interior where he doesn't have the experience like you would want him to. And a guy that should be, Dahlman, should be trying out for this position, is now a backup to that position, to left guard. He should be challenging for the center position and be challenging for left guard. They're not giving him the opportunity. Apparently, Jalen Mayfield's got this locked in the bag, and he's going to be starting on Sunday. If you saw him on last Sunday against the Eagles, then you'll know that that's probably not the best idea, especially with Vita Vea in the league. And look at the Tampa defensive line and tell me that Jalen Mayfield, who was not getting really any pass protection help, ends up coming out and laying a goose egg and letting Matt Ryan get sacked like 3-4 times. So, optimistic devil's advocate, Ryan went for 665 and 5 in 2 games against the same defense last year. That's where I'm coming from. And I don't disagree with the statistic that this team can be better in that setting. But I will say again, if the offensive line can't block for Ryan, then it doesn't matter whether or not they can throw the ball because they won't be able to throw the ball. If you look at the Eagles, who don't have the best pass protection of all time, but have a pretty decent defensive line, Matt Ryan couldn't get the ball out fast enough because they were already in the backfield within like 1-2 seconds, maybe, if that. They couldn't get their running game going, so it completely shut them down, and they started playing shotgun so Ryan could have more time. But they couldn't get anybody open downfield because the only impact receiver that they had on the field was Calvin Ridley, and they double-teamed Calvin Ridley and forced Matt Ryan to make accurate, quick, precise throws to guys like Russell Gage and Z and Kyle Pitts, who hasn't developed yet. He's not there. We're only one game in. He has played literally no preseason games. He got no snaps in the red zone last week. So it's not a great trend right now for Atlanta. Unless this line sorts itself out and gives Matt Ryan at least average protection, then this isn't going very far, regardless of whether or not Matt Ryan has great statistical prowess against the same defense. Because this offensive line, as bad as it was last year, is leaps and bounds better than the line that we currently have right now, because none of these guys have played together. None of them. I mean, apart from McGarry and Lindstrom getting a minimal amount of time to play together on the right-hand side, it's not like Lindstrom and McGarry necessarily were world beaters last week. Although McGarry had bright spots here and there, McGarry looked like a year 2 player. He really did. He looked like a sophomore player. So right now, where I'm sitting is Kyle Pitts, fantastic. But mark my words, if this offensive line doesn't fix itself in the next 5 to 6 weeks, and that's a long time, but it's also a short time because that time frame goes quickly. Weeks in and begin very quickly in this league. Boop, 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 boop. If this line doesn't begin to find continuity and success, then this team is going to be like a 1-7 team by mid-year. 1-7. And that will begin a discussion that I don't think anybody in this chat, YouTube or Twitch, wants to talk about. Which is, if the Falcons lose 7-8 games and are not even halfway through the league year, do we start talking about the potential of the Falcons drafting a quarterback? I don't think anybody wants to have that discussion because we just had that discussion last year, and it literally tore the entire fan base apart. Now, knowing the cap situation and knowing that Matt Ryan isn't going anywhere anytime soon unless, the Falcons want to roll the dice and see if he wants to retire, the Atlanta Falcons most likely would go after another defensive stud on the D-line, or they'll go after another offensive lineman, which will be crazy, but you're not going to pay for McGarry and Lindstrom at the same time. And with Gano potentially back, maybe you can make something happen, but without knowing what Dahlman or Mayfield can really turn into, being that they've been thrust into service so quickly, I'm telling you guys right now, there's a possibility that early on, the Atlanta Falcons, if they're that bad, might take one of the better offensive linemen from the draft class. Guy that fits the structure they're looking for. Still run with Ryan. And then draft in the second round a quarterback or a guy that has fallen out of the first. So, I'm going to sit here and say to you guys that we have plenty of time to figure out what's going to happen to this team as a whole and what we need to kind of change here and there. Turn it up a little bit. Here. Is that a little bit better? But I am not going to sit here and pretend that any particular first round pick is going to change where we currently are right now. This team, and I've said it right at this very moment. I thought I just turned it up. Is that good? Okay. Going forward is going to make the overall change that we need, because this team is long in the tooth, or on the completely opposite side of things where they're just like preteens and they don't know yet. They don't get it yet. How it's going to work out, how it's going to make them a better unit. So, good to see you, Matt. Good to see you, Chris. Good to see you, Blizz and Mr. Ergot T. Good to see you guys. Rise up, stay ground. I hope you're doing all well. So, Where I sit currently, and I think most fans are sitting right now, is they're looking for something to blame. They're looking for something to specifically attack. And I just think that's really interesting. Forgot to change that. I think it's interesting to see that this Falcons unit right now, this Atlanta Falcons team, is just so far behind the curve that they built for themselves. I mean, 2008, 2014, they were trying to build a unit that had enough protection for Matt Ryan, but then also at the same time allowed for serious competitive weapons like Julio Jones, Roddy White, Michael Jenkins, Brian Finneran, Tony Gonzalez, Algie Crumpler. Towards the tail end there, they were trying to bring in weapons like Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. But now here we are watching the 2015 to 2020 age of the Falcons, and it's repeated the same process over again. And I think a lot of fans are looking at this team right now and going, have we just repeated it again? Have we done it again? Have we just repeated the same thing over again? And are just seeing this Atlanta Falcons team have to go through the same trials and tribulations that they've been trying to fix for the past 20 years, which is keeping a professional football team offensive line prepared, talented, familiar with each other, and then having things to play off of that. And most Falcons fans right now don't know where to place that blame. It's not on the coaches. It's not really on Matt Ryan as a mainstay point, but there are stemming problems from Matt Ryan, like his level of play currently, which is also direct correlation from the offensive line's play. His play, when he does have protection, looks a bit spotty. His cap number makes it a little harder for us to be able to acquire free agent talent to protect him or put anything on the field to turn the ball over and bring it back to Ryan. So a lot of the time, this fan base has been looking for a way to get out, a way to blame something that's going on with this Falcons, a focal point to go, that's a problem. And it's not really Ryan specifically. He's part of an issue, but he's not the problem. The problem with this team has been 20 years of bad drafting and bad development, and now we see it for the third time over 3 coaches that, this roster's not very good. 2008, they had to completely turn the roster over, and it took 3 years to get it done. 2014, when Dan Quinn took over in 2015, but tail end of 2014, roster was completely gutted. Didn't look very good. Had a couple of star pieces. Had to completely rebuild the roster. They didn't do a very good job. And now here we are, 2020. We're almost 20 years into this bitch. And here we are. Here we are. It's the exact same process. Underdeveloping guys, not getting to where they need to be, not putting the talent on the field in places to succeed and have success where they're playing, and an over-reliance on veteran players to make the job work, to get it done. And I think that has been the big 3 key mistakes for the Atlanta Falcons for the past 20 years, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get fixed this year. It's not. It's not. And For Real, who is not a big football fan, is putting some amazing words of wisdom in the chat on the Twitch side. So please make sure that you guys go and give her some hype and some emotes in the chat. I'd really appreciate that. She's not the biggest football fan, but she's throwing stuff like, hey, man, it's either you take time now or never do it and be okay living mediocre. That's some good coffee. And what have we been saying? It's really funny that someone who doesn't really watch football and someone who doesn't understand what's going on, literally, and this has been 30 minutes, maybe not even then, has been able to go, yeah, well, I mean, you either restart the process and fix what you have going on, or just be okay living like this for the rest of your lives. What do you want to do? Whether that be sports or real life or your job, what do you want to do? I think that's really smart. I think that is probably one of the biggest problems with Arthur Blank, is that he's still living in the past. And this team is trying to move forward to the future and going, well, I just don't have the money and the time and the effort and the resources to be able to fix this for you, Ryan. So one way or another, put your tinfoil hats on, boys and girls, because I'm about to say something real controversial. I get the feeling that this team, the front office, more or less, has told Matt Ryan, and probably told him back in December, January, February, when this group started getting together. They probably already told him, we're not fixing this. You have to deal with this on your own. This is what you have to work with. You either make this work, or you play out your contract, or you retire. We're not building anything around you anymore. We're building for the team's success as a whole. And it's going to take multiple years to make it work. And you're not part of the future plans. Maybe that's why Julio Jones left. Maybe that's why Julio Jones was saying what he was saying and asked for his trade early on. Because he knew that he wasn't part of the plans and Matt Ryan wasn't part of the plans. And if Matt Ryan's not part of the plans, he's not part of the plans either. Tinfoil hat on, but there's the possibility that that's the particular conversation that was had with Julio Jones and the guys in Atlanta. Was Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith, Arthur Blank approach Julio Jones and go, this isn't going to be a very good team for a while. Are you sure you want to be with this organization going forward, but you're not plans with us going forward? Okay, I want to trade. All right, we'll make it happen. We'll just have to make it when we have the availability and we have the resources and, we have the opening. If somebody wants to call and make that trade, we'll make it happen. And what happened? A few months later, Julio Jones traded to the Titans. It makes sense. It correlates, and I don't want to spread rumors that may or may not be true. But as somebody that likes to correlate rhyme and reason together and find out where A, B, and C lead to, this is where the Atlanta Falcons are right now. They're in a perpetual state of building with no security blanket and with no familiarity with what they're doing. And because of the issues that two regimes, two of them with the same GM, have fumbled and basically just let every egg smash onto the concrete on the floor, they've allowed this to happen, where basically 2 or 3 players are way overpaid and control the destiny of how the team works and operates. So when you tell Julio Jones that Matt Ryan's not going to be the guy going forward, and that this team's going to be bad for a while, of course you're going to ask for a trade. No rhyme and reason for you to leave unless that's the answer you're given. I want to go play for a contender. Everybody does. That's why a lot of people stick with each other. Stick on certain teams. Follow certain guys. Because there's championships to be had. But when you're looking at a conversation that potentially may or may not have happened with Julio Jones going, hey, Matt Ryan's not going to be here for the rest of the rest of the tincture that we have been here, or we're going to be here, and that would mean that you're not going to be here for much longer. Do you want to test the market when we cut you, or do you want to be traded so we can get you to a destination quicker, to a specific destination that you want to get to? And Tennessee made the offer. That was back in July. And who knows? Grady Jarrett might be the next guy that goes. Matt Ryan might retire at the end of the season if he's not healthy. So I think that's also another conversation to be had is, do we think that Matt Ryan might retire? Do we think that Matt Ryan might actually end up retiring at the end of the season going, I've made my money, I basically, I can arbitrate with these guys for my retirement and take about half and give half back? There's a possibility that something like that happens, but they still have to, talk about it and move forward with it. And if Matt Ryan's gone, this team is absolutely and unequivocally atrocious, most likely. And we'll have to live with that. Now, Deion Jones, I believe that they just restructured his contract, so I would have to look at that, Madden. But I think where we're currently headed right now is, the Atlanta Falcons are moving assets as they get worse and worse and worse to prepare themselves for the ultimate move, for the ultimate cost and revenue exchange. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. You get rid of Deion and you leave Foye in there. Foye is probably the better 34 linebacker, but is that the way the Falcons are going? I don't know. True. So as a long-term answer, this Falcons team's not going to be good probably for the next 2 years. For the short-term answer against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what you guys want to hear, the news that you guys want to hear, it's going to be a tough watch, boys and girls, but I'm going to be off, and I might be live with you on twitch.tv/unintentional grounding and on YouTube, Unintentional Grounding, for a full game commentary on Sunday. We'll see. But if we are, UNGR_show on Twitter and on Instagram, where we will let you guys know whether or not we are going full commentation mode. We will go into commentating. Before we go into anything else, I want to say hello to everybody in here. Terrence Holmes, Archangel, Madden, For Real. Good to see all of y'all in here. Blizz, Mr. Irvgot T. Good to see you guys. Anon, Yamus. Good to see you, fam. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you guys so much for being in here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. You got again, I know it's probably tiring to hear streamers give you real or fake, heartfelt or emotional discussion or appreciation towards the people that support them. But I appreciate you guys wholeheartedly. Like I want this to be my full-time job if I can make it. Twitch actually, and I'll get into this discussion real quick, just as a side note for all of y'all. YouTube does not like me. They don't. YouTube does not like me at all. They want to ban anything I put up. They want to copyright anything I put up. It's an absolute dumpster fire over there. But here on Twitch, they have actually sent me a sports contract. And as of today, starting today, I am now part of that Twitch contract. And I'm just going to be straightforward with you guys. The maximum amount of money I can make every single month with the Twitch been like, yeah, we don't like you anymore. YouTube has basically told me we don't like you. Just too sweet. Thank you so much for the follow, Mr. Ergot T on the Twitch. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. You've been here since day one, man. Mr. Ergot, he's been here since day one. Coach has been here since day one, man. He's been in here. But yeah, man, YouTube has been YouTube has just kind of tried to hit me in the gonads, man. They've been trying to hit me in the gonads. I'm trying to think of something really annoying for a lady. Pulling the back of your bra strap and on your back, like maybe that hurts. I don't know. For guys, it would just be like a big kick in the pants, just like a punt, just a bat. Because there's really not really anything you could really do to a lady to really like hurt them like that. That's. I talk to my wife all the time about what hurts. Like, tell me what this is what. Not a lot of people do this, but maybe they do and they just don't talk about it. I want to know more about what irks women. So when I talk to women, I go, what happens? Like, what are things that are annoying? Everybody with glasses always says that the little frames, the little frames with the little plastic bits with the metal that goes right on the nose are just the absolute worst. Strap bras, I've been told, are the absolute worst as well. That sports bras are king. Now, I don't know that for certain because I'm only getting one lady's opinion. But, hey, let's be real for just 1 second. These football players that we love to watch and go out there and play ball, they have to wear pads. Whole padding up here. A whole goddamn helmet. Pads on their hips. Pads on their knees. Pads on their shins. A cup. Cleats. For football players, I think the worst is that they have to like literally wear like 20 pounds on them and carry that. And they can't be the true athlete that they are. I don't know. Just a tangent. Paul Stevens, what's going on, my man? Rise up, stay grounded. I hope you're doing well, brother. Rise up and stay grounded. Shaka. I would like to see the Atlanta Falcons draft another corner. And people are probably going to get upset about that. Well, Dan, you said that the biggest problems are offensive linemen. Well, looking at this particular draft, looking at the 2022 draft, it's very bare on offensive linemen. You'd have to either take one the moment you get into the draft, depending on the Falcons, draft spot, depending on where they're sitting in the draft. I think you're looking at the Atlanta Falcons getting an opportunity at one of the better corners, potentially. We're really early. There's still 16 more games to play, but if this performance continues, if this persists as an issue, they might have an opportunity at one of the best offensive linemen in the draft, which I think are both tackles. There's one guard prospect, but I believe goodbye. And good night. Bang. Thank you so much, Mr. Irv Got T, with the sub with Prime on the Twitch. Thank you so much, my man. Rise up, stay grounded. Thank you for the support, brother. I really appreciate it. I've been looking at offensive linemen in this draft class, and there's only probably about 3 or 4 that will go in the first round total. That's crazy, but where we're currently sitting right now is like we won't hit one of those offensive linemen. Because there's some games we can win. There's approachable games that we can win. Whoa! The things about the Falcons that are true. I appreciate that, Mr. Ergati. Thank you so much. The Prime subs, actually, this month, the Prime subs and the regular subs count more. Marich221, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Just to sweet. Thank you, man. I appreciate that on the Twitch side of things. You the best. To me, this Falcons team, if they want to continue to build, they need to go get another corner and they need to put them on the outside, because then it will force teams to go and run, and then the Falcons can stack the box. You can get around that problem and that issue. On the other side of it, though, if the Falcons want to continue to try to keep Matt Ryan upright and they want to build the future of this offense, which I believe Arthur Smith will want to do, then offensive line is a no-brainer. So right now, I'm currently looking at corners and offensive linemen. I think that's where this Falcons team needs to look. If they're sitting at a spot where they can get Thibodeau or they can grab one of the best quarterbacks in the class, we've seen this team go after Kyle Pitts, and we've seen this team go after diamond in the rough players before, like a Julio. So I would not be surprised if this team decides, okay, listen up, everybody. We're going in and we're grabbing the best player available, which is like Spencer Rattler or Desmond Ridder or, a Malik Willis. If that becomes the pick, then I will know this team has really no direction or real style of building anything, because they just take things as they get it, which is a recipe for disaster if you don't have a plan to build everything up. This is how we're going to build this piece. This is how we're going to build this piece. If you're just taking random pieces, and that means that your roster is absolutely gutted, that your roster has no absolute effort to it, that it's literally just a roster of shiny nickels. And if that becomes the case in Atlanta, then this will be a very short tincture for Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot. It will. It will be an absolute atrocious wrecked bit of a roster. We really are bad if we're talking about the draft. Well, I had already talked in full about week 1 and then the issues the Falcons are currently in, and then I wanted to kind of slide over to the draft stuff. And now I guess we should go into week 2 talk. We should go a little bit into the week 2 discussion. The thing that scares me is Tampa's D-line. I could care less about what Tampa's offense looks like, because Tampa's offense obviously can be somewhat repelled by a Dan Quinn defense, and I believe in Dean Pease to be able to make it work. Now, Dean Pease just came out this week and said that he is not an analytics guy. That's going to absolutely make guys like the real Pat Man pull their hair out, or Aaron Freeman pull their hair out, because yes, he's an old ball coach and he wants to rely on film study, who's doing the best, who's doing the worst, put guys in places for them to succeed and transform. But all I hear is Mike Smith talk when I hear that. And that doesn't make me excited. That makes me worried that this roster is going to be built on prayers and wishes. Prayers and wishes. Do you guys ever get tired? This is something I kind of want to quickly state and ask in the chat. Twitch or YouTube. You guys tell me what you guys think, but thoughts and prayers. Does that do anything for you guys? Does that get you irritated? I mean, I believe that good energy, no matter what kind of energy it is, good energy, regardless of what kind of energy it is positive, and receiving good energy from people is a positive. But thoughts and prayers to me begins to be like you're not living in reality type setting. So when you send me thoughts and prayers, thank you so much for sending the positive energy. But if I'm in a monetary situation, I'm going to ask for people to help me and then try to pay back my debt. If I'm in a physical situation, I need somebody to help me and dig me out of this hole, or help me get off the ground when I fall. I'm going to do something about my situation if I can do it within my power. But sending me thoughts and prayers doesn't, and no offense to anybody, but sending me thoughts and prayers does not necessarily build an empire. And one thing that I think really gets me kind of heated is when people are like, we building this team on wishes, hopes, and dreams, and sending our thoughts and prayers to the Atlanta Falcons that they can turn this around. None of those things are tangible, physical, in air that I can grab. Like, I'm moving air around, but I can't grab air. And your thoughts and prayers are just energy that's kind of going around the space, and it's not really physically changing anything going on. I really do believe the Falcons need to have an analyticals team. They need to have an analytics team. An analytics team that can tell them, these are the trends in the NFL currently going on right now. How can we not copy those trends or utilize those trends specifically, but how can we morph those trends into what we are capable of doing and get better at what we're trying to do? Because analytical trends aren't the end be-all of football in this day and age, but they help you determine what's working and what's not. And then, depending on what you're trying to run, you can analytically push things in a direction that will give you a little more of an edge here or there. But at the end of the day, it's still raw talent. Raw talent, raw ability still trumps analytics at the end of the day and still makes you move the ball or turn the ball over. Statistical freaks and nightmares happen all the time, and unicorns are dime a dozen, basically one per team. And I'm looking at this team and I'm going, it's not a built roster. So when you go after a Buccaneers team that has everybody lined up defensively, they're the defending champs. They beat the absolute, smack out of the Kansas City Chiefs, who are another statistically really good team who just completely rebuilt their line and were doing well against the Browns. Had to come back and win, but they won. Regardless, that's what good teams do. What we're looking at right now is just a team that's just like not there. Not there. They're not the group that you want to be able to support, protect, and the one that you want to back. It's not as talented as the other team. You can be analytically fit, and I think that Dean Pease looks at that and goes, I don't think we're at the level yet to start talking about how analytics can improve our situation. We just need to improve in general. JP, what's going on, my man? Rise up, stay ground. I hope you're doing well, buddy. I don't think we're at a stage right now that we can utilize proper analytics to change or morph what we're doing currently. Because proper analytics would tell us that what we're about to run as a defense is not going to work. But it can work, and we know it can work because of past experience that Dean Pease has with other programs that have run the same style of defense to this day, and it's worked. It's worked. It still works in this league. But if you don't have the talent to run it, then it doesn't really matter. I think that was the biggest problem with Dan Quinn, was that he needed talent to run that defense and then analytically tinker and tweak things so that it finally got to a level that it could work. And I don't think the Legion of Boom is necessarily a defense that can't work or can't be revitalized or reworked into today's game. I think that you just need talented, very physical, very mentally capable players, and that's something that you can't just grab every single draft unless you're just an absolute stud at drafting, which no team is. Usually teams are very happy getting about 50% of their players from their draft class signed and developed, because you usually only get about 2 or 3 guys from a draft class developed, signed, and stay with your team multiple years. So looking at this Bucs game in week 2, I see a team in Atlanta that knows how to run the ball, but if they decide that they're going to run the ball early, Tampa's going to immediately key in on that, and they're going to eat Matt Ryan's offensive line and running backs alive. I like Cordell Patterson. I like Mike Davis. I think they're both very good runners. I don't think this line is going to allow them to do what they did in the Eagles game, which was there were a couple of times in that Eagles game where you run off to the right-hand side and then cut back to the left and go into completely open field because somebody didn't get an assignment down. Tampa's not going to fall for those tricks because it's week 2 and they've already been through that. So they're going to key in on that, and they're going to stop us from running the ball effectively if we can't run block well. And that was actually the strongest point, regardless of quarter, regardless of the time in the game. Atlanta could still run the ball effectively to some degree. And they just could not throw the ball. And this current team, if they can't pass the ball effectively, if they don't have the pieces to be able to block for Ryan, if they don't have the guys that can make the plays down the field, and God forbid Matt Ryan becomes a bigger issue going forward and can't get the ball down the field properly because of his arm or some injury, oh, God forbid that happens. I swear I will sit here and I will just flip my table. Just too sweet. Just too sweet. Dark Magician Chaos Girl, thank you so much for following the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. This team right now, if you're talking about Tampa, you're talking about Atlanta, this team right now, these two teams that are about to go up against each other, is a complete mismatch from a statistical standpoint and from a talent standpoint. And when statistics and talent don't match up in your favor, you most likely get what? Chat, does anybody have the answer for that? When those two things don't add up, your team usually gets what on game day? Anybody? YouTube? Twitch? I'll take a sip of coffee and I'll wait. Actually, I'll take a sip of water and I'll wait. For all of you guys and gals that are here today, make sure that you hydrate. It's very important that you drink at least 2 big cups of water every day. Your body needs new fluid. It needs to cycle that out and keep you healthy. So make sure that you take some water and you drink it at, 2 big cups twice a day. Blown out. 10 points. 10 points to Gryffindor for Dre Jungles and Dark Magician Chaos Girl. You both get 10 points in my book. I'll mark it down. Dark Magician Chaos Girl, I've had to write your name like halfway across my hand here and then give you 10 points like on the other side of my hand. That's a long name to write. But 10 points for you anyway. This is a mismatch by all levels and every single bit of it when you look at it. It's not conducive to winning. So as a dude, I'm gonna save my 10 points. You can give the 10 points to the Falcons this Sunday and give them can we have a handicap? We start out with 10 points and allow the Bucks to have to score 10 points, make it a tie game, and then go forward. I would love a mulligan or some type of handicap to start with, because maybe we might actually win if we have the handicap. But I look at this squad. I see a lot of talented up-and-coming players, but I don't see a lot of talented players in the now. Kyle Pitts, later down the road. Can I give 10 to my Cowboys against the LA Chargers? I think you could give them half your points and win that game. Yeah, I don't think you have to give the whole 10. You could keep 5 in the pocket in hand and give 5 out to Cowboys and maybe win that game. Maybe win that game. But hey, if you want to use all 10 points for your Cowboys, you are entitled to do so. I gave you the 10 points. It's for you. So remember, tomorrow, Sunday, after the Cowboys game, remind me what the score was and that you gave 5 or 10 points, and maybe you win, maybe you don't. Just let me know. Because I would need to give 20 points to Atlanta to beat Tampa. Man, oh 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 man. Those of you on the YouTube, make sure you guys follow us on Twitch, man. This is where we're going to be doing all of our sports content from now on. We're not leaving the YouTube, but more or less. YouTube doesn't like me. They don't want me to succeed. Do you think my school FSU will beat Wake Forest today? That's tough because there's a couple of NFL caliber players on a Wake Forest right now. And FSU, they lost last week, right? In overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm crazy. If I'm not mistaken. Okay, you lost the last 2 weeks. There's a better chance you beat Wake Forest this week than the last 2 weeks of football, but FSU needs more in the trenches, and especially offensive line. And it's so weird. It's so weird that the correlations between, what's going on in my team with the Atlanta Falcons and then what's going on with other teams around the league, whether it be in the NFL or it be in college football, that offensive linemen just don't seem to be coming out of the woodworks and being a big strong point for football in general. So I wonder if that's a problem deeper than just like, oh, there's not talent there. Maybe there's just not people interested in playing that position. I don't know. Well, Hayden, if you give Tom Brady a minute 30, if you give them a minute 30 left on the clock, even with a 20-point lead, I would not be 3 timeouts, 1 minute and 30, and down by 20. Tom Brady can still come back and score 3 touchdowns and beat you. They'll make you turn the ball over, then they'll stop you 3 and out. They'll use some timeouts. They'll stop you again on a 3 and out, and they'll score another one in the late seconds to win the game. That's exactly what happens. Defenses are getting better nowadays. I agree with that. Yeah. Well, you hope. You will hope that it work itself out. I mean, you're looking at the draft, and you're going each and every year, this is not a good draft class. This is not a good draft class. This is not a good draft class. And then one year you're like, wow, look at all this offensive line talent. It gets into the league and it's like so-so. Most of them injured. So I wonder if there's just a little bit of a problem with just how we train offensive linemen nowadays. Yep. Oh boy. Yeah, it just about a generation or so. So just about every 10 years, so that's basically 2 college football players times playing in a school. Usually every 2 draft cycles, you get a set of trenches that you're like, oh, wow, there's like 10 or 12 good offensive linemen in this draft class. And then there's like a bunch of guys that, could rise and fall depending on the development process and who's training them and who's coaching them. But when you look at the bad years, there's usually 1 or 2 generational talents, and then everybody else completely is just like a work in progress. So to me, that's one of those problem issues. That's one of those big issues for teams to figure out, like, where are they going to go from there, I think the Cowboys are going to turn around and they're going to win the division for the NFC East. I don't think that will be an issue. Dark Magician Chaos Girl. I don't think there's going to be an issue with Dallas going forward. As long as they get back to their roots, run the ball, pass efficiently. They've got plenty of weapons. Dak's good. Maybe he's not 100% healthy, but he's good enough to keep you guys going. Your offensive line is not bad. It could probably use one more solidifying piece because I know there was some injuries that happened. And then with FSU, I just don't think that school is as talented as it needs to be. But that's just the way that they've been left after Jimbo Fisher left them a couple years back. I mean, what is that? It's been 5 years, 10 years now since Jimbo has left FSU, and just really haven't had much of an opportunity, man. Like, they just really haven't. They haven't been a destination where you want to go, and they haven't been a real powerhouse in their conference for a while. Competitive football they've been able to play. But since Clemson has kind of, I don't know, awoken, have had a better scouting, have really just settled down and figured out what they're trying to do, they've kind of dominated the conference. I'm hoping and praying that there's more parity in the conference, because as long as the ACC continue up and down, if they officially join the ACC for good, FSU will constantly be up and down until they solidify the coaching and then start scouting better players from the schools. They stop letting Florida and Miami steal their guys, because those programs in Florida, University of Florida and the University of Miami, those programs are run. They have great prestige and it brings prospects in, but they're not well run. Florida and Miami. Now, there are schools like Florida Atlantic that are doing a really good job of not only recruiting and stealing players, but also getting JUCOs and really learning their craft and getting a good, feel for where they're going. Places like USF and UCF also are experiencing success, although they don't play in a bigger conference. I think the exposure for UCF going forward, because they are looking like a team that's going to be going to the Big 12 in the next couple of years when they finish up everything in the AAC. But I think the exposure to bigger teams, the talent level that will just from the conference will bring in better players. I think UCF will potentially become a powerhouse in football. Just as a team that loves to spread it out and play that style of ball, they'll get better. But looking at the bigger conference schools like ACC and SEC style football teams in the state of Florida, there are just teams that are just not run well. And unfortunately, FSU hasn't gotten that down yet. Florida really just continues to just run off their name. Miami does the same exact thing. And then schools like USF, UCF, Florida Atlantic. I know I'm missing one other, like Florida State or something like that. Not Florida State, but Florida Tech or something like that. I don't know who it is, but there's another school. Florida International. I think all of those schools right now, they're making a slow but sure step up in the right direction, but a lot of them are just run poorly by good old ball coaches. Florida A&M, that's right, yeah. I forgot about Florida A&M. Are they still playing football? Crazy. All right, for those of you that are watching on the YouTube, I am going to be shutting the stream off. Not to be that guy, but I am going to be switching over to some Apex Legends pubs play, just to do that. I'm trying to do like 30 minutes. Cool. So if you are on the Twitch side of things right at this very moment, please make sure you tune in when the stream restarts again with the new title and everything. We're going to play some Apex Legends and just chill out. I'll talk some more football-related topics and things like that. But I'll do some gaming before I have to get ready to go to work because I got to pay bills. So if you're on the YouTube side of things, switch over to twitch.tv/unintentionalgrounding. Link, I believe, is in the bio. You guys can check that out there. If not, just head over to Twitch, look up Unintentional Grounding, and there I will be. We will be live in just a moment. I'm going to fill up the water, take the dog out on a little walk. So give me 5 minutes, and we will be back on live again for you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for being here. I will be back to talk some more football and play some Apex Legends with you guys and chill out for the next hour or so before I have to head off to work. Peace, hair grease, rise up, stay grounded. And I will see you again real soon to all of you. Thank you again for all the support. It means a heck a lot to me, and it means a heck a lot to all the people that are here as well. See you guys later.